number 2 on the Roper Report, ladies and gentlemen, Resident Evil 9 could be released in January, it's claimed. And that's January of next year, not this year, as some idiot said earlier at the start of the show. This is Jordan Midler at VGC. And hey, shout out to VGC celebrating their 5th anniversary this week.
So cool.
Resident Evil 9 could be revealed soon, with a release scheduled for January 2025, it's claimed. According to Dusk Golem on X.
Oh, it's happening then.
Yeah?
Flawless record, specifically with Resident Evil stuff.
Dusk Golem has a strong track record of revealing confidential information about upcoming video games before they're made public. According to Dusk Golem on X, Resident Evil 9 should be revealed soon and is set for a release in early 2025. Quote, the possible delay I had heard murmurs about can be pushed aside, they said. Resident Evil 9 should be revealed pretty soon and released next year. If what I heard previously holds true, it should be in January. It'll have had about 7 years in development. The insider also claims that Resident Evil 9 started development in 2018. I'm a little bit off on everything today. As a potential 8th entry in the main series. At this time, Resident Evil Village was seen as a spin-off project before eventually becoming the 8th main entry. This title, informally referred to as Resident Evil 9, also reportedly has the biggest budget and longest development time of any Resident Evil game to date.
It's very interesting, Greg. Bless and I talked about this a couple months back on what would Resident Evil 9 be, because looking at Capcom and how much success they've had in the last couple years, bringing back franchises, having some of the biggest hits in those franchises they ever had with things like Street Fighter. We have Monster Hunter, whatever the new one's coming. What's it called? Not World 2.
Wilds. No.
Wilds.
Is it?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I call it World 2 still. But until I've seen more of it, it's World 2.
They've just been doing such a great job. And you look at Resident Evil, and like between their new entries in the franchise and their remakes, they've just been pumping out kind of hit after hit.
Yeah.
And even when there was like a kind of low point on it, like a Resident Evil 3, that was just like still a great game. People's criticism was like, oh, it's a little short and was just released so soon after 2. But pretty much every year we were getting a major Resident Evil game, to the point that it's like, yo, y'all need to slow down a little bit. Like we have like, even Resident Evil 4 last year coming out, the remake, like we got 4 remakes, man. I guess not 4, 3 remakes with 2, 3, 4, plus Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 8 Village, all in the last, it feels like 5 years.
Yeah.
It might be a little bit more than that. But
we got a lot of Resident Evil.
We got a lot of it and a lot of good, but even getting a lot of good, it kind of gets to the point of like, whew, okay, we're getting this, and we're also getting a lot of other survival horror games, and we're getting things like Dead Space remake, and it's just like there's just a lot of this stuff. So then you look at it and you're like, all right, there was the more third-person remakes of 2, 3, and 4. Then there's the first person of 7 and 8 and the DLC that they all had. 9, is it gonna continue that lineage and be the first person, the sequel to 8 and 7, or is it going to be the first new third-person Resident Evil in a very long time?
I would love that.
You know,
I would love that if it was a modern third person. You know, take all the learnings and all the changes you've made throughout the series in general, let alone the remakes, how good Resident Evil 2 was, and come in and make that. That'd be awesome.
The biggest budget, longest development time of any Resident Evil. Like this stuff, it's exciting, but it to me, I'm just like, January seems soon. Like even for this, it's like personally, I'm like, maybe take a little bit more time. And like, not even so much for development. Like it sounds like they've been developing just in terms of like games coming out and just like the space of, if it is a third person one, we just got 4, you know?
Yeah, but isn't that different? Like I feel like the remake, you can have the remakes standing side by side with the new ones, and there's a difference there. Where even for an old game and remake, you're burned out?
Yeah, like that's the thing, is it's just like and I love these games. I like love all of the ones that we're talking about. I feel like out of all the ones, the more modern ones, 7's my least favorite of all of them, and I like 7 a lot. So, what?
Wait, I was going to high five you. I thought we were talking about Village.
Oh, no, I'm a Village boy.
Fucking stupid.
There's some dumb parts, but like, it's Resident Evil.
Medium's
But
better.
that's the thing. After having the storyline of 7 and 8, and without spoilers, where 8 ends and what they like kind of set up for 9, we're getting into bonkers territory, and like, we've been there for a long time, but I'm very interested in what 9 is, because part of me, I don't think it's going to be a full-on reboot or something, but like part of me does feel like it is not necessarily going to be the continuation of 7 and 8, and it kind of be more a
new story that leads to that stuff.
In terms of what the game is in the way that 7 was.
Okay.
Of like 7 is still continuing the story. It's still in the same lineage and timeline of 1 through 6.
Yeah.
But it's also very distinctly different and new cast of characters for the most part, and totally different style of game.
Looking for the perfect gift to celebrate the moms in your life? Aura frames are beautiful Wi-Fi connected digital picture frames that allow you to share and display unlimited photos. It's super easy to upload and share photos via the Aura app, and if you're giving Aura as a gift, you can even personalize the frame with preloaded photos and memories. How do I, Greg Miller from Kinda Funny, know so much about Aura? Because I just gave Jen one for her birthday. I used the QR code on the box to preload it with photos of her and Benny, and when she booted it up for the first time, she got to see a sweet little message from me. I like this frame so much that I am actually legitimately buying one for my mother for Mother's Day. From grandmothers to new mothers, aunts, and even friends in your life, every mom loves an Aura frame. Right now, Aura has a great deal for Mother's Day. Listeners can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $30 off plus free shipping for their best-selling frame. That's auraframes.com. Use code KINDAFUNNY at checkout to save. And mom, if you see this before you get your Aura frame for Mother's Day, please act surprised.
I could see them kind of trying to reinvent Resident Evil. Do they wait for 10 for that just because it's clean and pretty? I don't know. But this being the longest development, biggest budget, very excited. I just am a little worried about Resident Evil just being oversaturated with quality.
See, I don't know. I guess as not even a Resident Evil fan, but someone who appreciates it here and there, like, I never even played the remake of 4. I was let down by the remake of 3. I didn't like Village either that much. So it's like, I'm ready for something that is cool and new and whatever. I don't feel oversaturated. I know you're talking about the hardcore Resident Evil fans. Like, there's a push and pull there between everybody, but I think a new ground up Resident Evil would be super fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely exciting. I will say it's like, to the hardcore fans, I'm sure they're eating it up and they're super stoked that they're getting like some of the best games ever, year after year after year. Like, hey, that's great. As a fan of Resident Evil that plays all of these, it is just like, whew, okay, man. Like, I'm not excited for a new Resident Evil. I'm excited for it to be announced and I'm going to be excited to play it, but I'm not like, it just doesn't feel like it's time.
Yeah.
You know?
Speaking of time, Zach says, Tim, what would you in the super chat, of course, to be part of the show. Tim, what would you rather have? Code Veronica 5 or remake?
Remake. No. Yeah, I mean, just 1 is so good. And the thing is, we just had the anniversary, I think it was the 22nd or 3rd anniversary, which is crazy, of Resident Evil Remake on GameCube. And my God, that game stands the test of time. Like, that remake was incredible. The graphics are so good. When they did the HD, like, up-res version of the GameCube game on PS3 and 360 or whatever, and now they just keep putting it on all the new systems, it still looks and plays amazingly for that old school type of game. I would love the story and location of Resident Evil 1, but to play like RE2 and 3 and 4 remake, whoo, that would be amazing.
Hell yeah.
5, I think 5 still is. Remakes just get tough when we get to the newer generations because it's like they're good enough. We don't need the remake. And I know that like that could be silly because it's like, look at even something like Dead Space. But Dead Space remake fixed some of the issues it had. I don't think that Resident Evil 5 or 6 remake are going to fix the issues the
core issues of what those games are. Yeah,
and there's fun in those games, and there still is. So yeah, RE1 baby.
Onus Prime super chat and says, "Hey Capcom, how about a DMC 6? Tim, is it time?"
That's what I'm saying. I feel like instead of a Resident Evil 9, I think it's DMC 6 time, y'all. That would be such a nice welcome break. And I know that it's not a perfect overlap of the Venn diagram of DMC and Resident Evil fans.
Yeah.
But like, I would say that there's a lot of people that if you like one, you probably like the other. And yeah, give them a little Dante break, man.